When I first dove into the crazy world of ice fishing, one of the first things I got a little bit overwhelmed by was how many rods there are on the market, and more importantly, which ones were actually worth the buy. So today's video, we're gonna go over 6 of my favorite ice fishing rods for under $60. These will cover a whole bunch of different species as well. So let's get into it. All right, now coming in at number 6 here, we have a rod that is a little bit more niche, but if you are targeting the species that this rod is meant for, it's a great option, and that is the 13 Fishing Infrared. This is coming in at around $29.99 depending on where you shop. So this is the older version that I have here. They do have a newer model that is out, and I believe they only come in 2 sizes upon looking at their website. It is a 40-inch medium heavy and a medium. So this is going to be some of your larger game on this rod. You would not be using these for, your perch, your panfish, smaller trout. This isn't really what that's meant for, but for any of you going for larger walleye, lake trout, pike, muskie, right, fish of that nature, this is an awesome choice to go with here. They're not like ultra sensitive compared to some other rods on the market, but they are tanks. They've got a really good moderate bend to it. I've personally have caught quite a few lake trout on this rod right here, and I have really enjoyed my time with it, especially if you need to just get a bunch of cheap tip-up rods to just start running. It's a great option for that. So 13 Fishing Infrared coming in at number 6 here on this list. All right, now number 5 on this list is a very well-known, beloved brand that has made a lot of fishing rods, and they do make an ice version as well, and that is the Stik GX2 Ice. So this rod is coming in at around $34.99, and it isn't anything special. The reason why it is on this list is because it is an ugly stick, right? Ice fishing can be very tough on your gear. I've broken a lot of ice rods through the years, and these guys right here are just tanks. I mean, they're just like a regular open water ugly stick. They're super strong. I do really like the bend that these rods have. These would be a great rod to put on a jaw jacker setup, any kind of self hook setting device for a rod. If you've got a bunch of kids that you want to go take ice fishing, these are awesome rods to give them. If you've got just some buddies that you want to loan some gear to, right? These are an awesome choice for that. They're cheap, they get the job done, they're nothing overly sensitive or fancy, but they're gonna fish, and they're gonna fish all day for you without any complaints, right? So 100% would recommend the ugly stick on this, especially for you beginner ice fishermen or anyone that needs just a really durable rod with a good bend. Another huge advantage of the ugly stick as well is that the tips on the ugly stick go from that real dark color to that clear glass tip on the top, and what I really like about that is it's super contrasting from each other, and it's very easy to see on the ice. So especially like if you're looking out, you got a bunch of rods along the ice, you got a bunch of white snow, sometimes things can get lost when you're looking out there. But that little contrast, there's something about that. It does a very good job at being a good visual out there. Now, number 4 on this list is going to be another 13 fishing rod, and that is the 13 Fishing Wicked, coming in at $33.99. Now, this is a rod that I don't have the newest version on me. I have fished the older version a lot. The new version feels great, and it is an awesome little rod for especially if you're needing, either something, relatively cheap that you can jig with, or as rods to have up as other dead stick setups. They've got a whole bunch of different sizes in them, and they're just awesome little rods. They've got a real bright tip, good quality cork seating. This is another really great option for those that are wanting just to just make a lineup of some cheap setups to get going. There is also a Wicked Pro model that is a little bit pricier and has some really good components to it. So for those of you that are wanting kind of a step up on the 13 Wicked series, that would be the way to go for that. Now, number 3 here is going to be a little bit of a jump in price, and this is going to be the Scheels Outfitter Guide Series Ice Rod. Now, these are coming in at around $59.99, but the really nice feature I like about these, especially if you have a Scheels close to you, is that they have a 3-year warranty on that. And that is car door, ceiling fan, hook set, your sled falls over and it breaks, like whatever, you bring it right back in and they just swap you out a brand new one. You can get right back out to fishing. So for those of you that are close to a Scheels, or just fish, you know, in a general area of a Scheels, that warranty is awesome to have. And these are really good quality rods too. They've got really good components. They feel really nice. They're super sensitive in your hands. And overall, I mean, I know I'm biased because I do work at a Scheels, but I've just been super blown away with these rods, especially from a you know, a store brand, right? When you think of a store brand, sometimes you don't think of the best of quality. These are not the case. These are really awesome quality rods. So definitely coming in on this list, the Scheels guides. Now coming in at number 2, this is the first ever decent quality ice rod that I bought in my ice fishing career, and that is the 13 Fishing Tickle Stick. Now this is a very unique rod with some really cool properties that are changing the game in ice fishing, especially as far as reading those super light bites. And a lot of that here is going to be basically there's a parallel composite construction, which is it's the industry's first flat tip rod. It has super good bite detection, and not only does it detect downward bites, but it detects those upward, right? Or, you know, the ascending versus descending bites. It does both, which is super cool. This is by far and away one of the most sensitive rods that you can buy on the market. I mean, it is basically a built-in spring tip on the rod. I mean, this thing, if a fish farts near this, you are feeling the bite, which is awesome. Now, my one con on these rods is that I, in the past, had some problems with durability of this. I felt like I've broken more of these than any other rod that I've ever used. But that being said, if you can take really good care of this rod, especially for perch fishing, panfish, all those real light biters, this is such a phenomenal option because of that tip and reading those bites. Okay, now number 1 on this list, in my opinion, this is the best ice fishing rod under 60 bucks, and that is going to be the Frostbite Twilight series ice rods. Now, here's the thing, I do work pretty decently close with the company, so if you made a claim that this list is biased, I understand that. However, those of you that know me know I am very picky on what gear I use, and I don't really work with a lot of brands. I'm not taking a bunch of brand deals. You know, all my opinions on this channel are my honest opinion. And Frostbite actually reached out to me. I was using their equipment long before we started working together, and for very good reason. I mean, I just absolutely love their rods. First of all, they have a massive lineup. I mean, every kind of species you would ever imagine you could catch through the ice, they have a rod to do. They also have custom cork jobs at the end here. You can buy separate pieces and you can attach to make a longer end of your rod, which is really nice. They're super sensitive blanks. They're durable as well. It's in my opinion, it's a really good balance between those two of having sensitivity and durability at the same time. I like the color of them, and I also like Frostbite makes a lot of longer ice rods. And in my opinion, when I first started ice fishing, I used a lot of really short rods, and I felt like I was losing a lot of large trout because of it. I started switching over. This was the first rod I bought in a 30-inch plus rod. This is the Dipstick. It's a 39 light fiberglass rod. So the bend on this is awesome. It's almost 40 inches, so it's got just a ton of shock absorbent through that rod, and I keep a lot of big fish pinned with this rod. I don't lose a lot of big trout on these. And the second I started fighting fish with these, I fell in love with them immediately. These also make for a great jaw jacker rod just because of that nice, you know, load in the glass of the rod. I have just been so impressed with these rods. I've been impressed with the company, and they're my favorite. I've got probably 20 Frostbite rods in my rod locker at this point. It's pretty much all I use, and like I said, those of you that know me know I'm very picky with my gear, so that does say something. Now, I'm not going to be making a top 5 ice fishing or top 10 ice fishing reels under a certain price point solely because I just use all my open water reels on my ice fishing stuff. However, if I were to recommend 2 reels to go with some of the rods we talked about in today's video, I'm going to put those 2 right up here for you. So hopefully you guys got a kick out of today's episode. Hopefully you learned something. We'll see you guys next time on Humbug Videos.